Hey guys, coming to you live from Chicago, Illinois. I'm Brian Chavez, the GM of 50 Shades of Gold, and we're about to watch the recap of Week 2 live from the HFLN. Enjoy.
Hey fellas, welcome to the recap on the HFLN. It was another bananas week in our league. Huge scores were there obviously, but on top of that there were 4 teams that didn't even break the 70-point barrier. It was an unprecedented week for matchups, but all the injuries that were announced by our senior injury correspondent Eric Seatsma were really what set this week apart. Not just the number of injuries, but some of the names associated with them. AJ Green, Jamal Charles, they're both pretty good. RG3, Noshawn Moreno, Deshaun Jackson, Ryan Matthews, and Vernon Davis, just to name the important fantasy players. Then we get to the news that Ray Rice was released, and AP has been indefinitely suspended. Almost every team this week was affected by either injuries or the suspensions. But that's enough of the real life stuff. Let's get to the fantasy matchups. First up, we have Hot Graham taking on the GOAT. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. A tale of two cities and a tale of two teams. The GOAT took on Hot Graham this week with high expectations, but those were quickly crushed when RG3 broke in the first half on Sunday. Not to mention, by Sunday afternoon, he realized that he left a 33-point swing in his favor on the bench, with only Terrence Williams and Julio Jones scoring in double digits for him. All that is exactly the opposite of what happened to Hot Graham, who had 3 players score higher than 20 and another 2 in the double digits. Jimmy Graham had himself a nice little day, posting 23.8 points to get the beating underway. Things never slowed down either. Peyton put up 21.58 in the late games on Sunday, and on Monday, Jeremy Glassbones Macklin rubbed it in with another 10.5. Hot Graham posted the week's best score with 114.48 to the GOAT's worst week, 57.02. Fellas, pay attention to hear what the greatest of all time did. This is exactly how you miss the playoffs. On to our next matchup. We have Coon in the Cob versus Forsyth in her butt. In a landslide this week, Forsyth turned up to battle with no ammo, posting only 60.48 points, and no player on the starting roster with more than 11 points. It was a rough weekend for them. Oh, did I mention they left B. Marsh and 2 other near 20-point scorers on the bench? It's rough sledding. Coon and the Cob didn't have to do much, but they did more than they needed to put their opponent away this week, and remain at the top of the standings. 5 of their players cracked double digits, and Mr. Tumnus look-alike Aaron Rodgers was the highest scoring offensive player this week, with 28.64 points. They laid waste to Forsyth in their butt with a final score of 105.54 to 60.48. In our next duel, we have Zubaz versus Mother Tuckers. Luckily, this matchup was a bit of a game, so there's something more to talk about here. Mother Tuckers jumped out ahead early on Thursday with 14 points from their kicker and namesake Justin Tucker, and 10 points from the reigning champion Antonio Brown. They lost Jamal Charles on Sunday, and he only snagged 1.2 points before that. But Darren Sproles scurried away with 23.8 points on his bench. Zubaz didn't even get a point from their kicker Blair Walsh, but were still able to stay in this game, thanks to a fantastic 22.9 point effort from Giovanni Bernard, and solid labors from Demarius D.T. Thomas and the Houston defense, who combined for 22.2. They were in a good position on Monday. They had Andrew Luck going, and he racked up 19.88 points. He helped cement the Zubaz crew with a victory over Mother Tuckers. Final score, 84.58 to 69.84. Fourth game this week is Joiking Off versus 50 Shades of Gold. After a blazing start to the week on Thursday, Joiking Off took a barely surmountable mountain of points from Tory My Name Isn't Steve Smith and his 1 point. Ugh. Things look good for 50 Shades of Gold, but other than LaShawn McCoy and Julian Edelman, no one scored double digits for him. And their defense scored -3. Yikes, Seattle. While his scoring was embarrassing, Brian's squad was still not the worst in the league this week, which is good for him. I had a different week. With a combined 39 points from waiver wire pickups, Buffalo Bills defense, and their kicker Dan Carpenter, there was a beatdown in the making early. 3 of our starters outscored his top scorer, and it was all capped off on a 14-point, 80-yard touchdown in the late Sunday game from Jordy Nelson. That was part of his 209-yard day. Final score, Joiking Off 105.04 to 50 Shades of Gold 68.16. With the recap being in Chicago this week, we were able to ask 50 Shades of Gold GM Brian Chavez about his thoughts on the season so far. Brian?
Team fucking sucks.
Wow, riveting stuff there from Cheech. Chin up, big fella. It'll get better. Now, on to the final matchup. Breezy Bushes took on the Don Goodell, who both won the previous week. This was also our closest matchup this week and came down to Monday night, like all close contests are wont to do. The Don was down all Sunday, but kept it within 10 points and keeping it in the game. This one was interesting. The scores from quarterback, running back, kicker, tight end, and defense were all very, very close, but were all in the favor of Breezy Bushes. But wide receivers where the Don Goodell snatched the victory, outscoring Breezy nearly 30-9. Goodell got his 12 points on Monday from Anna Vinatieri and Reggie Wayne to vault them over the 3.9 deficit they came into the day with. So it was a nice little week for them. They got the victory and scored points where they needed to. That's it for the matchups this week. Now we get into the 8 people's favorites weekly segments, the awards. Biggest losers first. Let's all take out our pens and paper and do a little math problem. What's 57.02 total points plus 29 from the benched Patriots defense plus the 4 points that Miami lost the GOAT? What do you get? Correct. The answer is the biggest loser. The GOAT lost by more than he scored this week, getting 57.44 points from his starting squad and losing by 57.46. This coupled with the fact that GM Justin Blood had the audacity to title himself the greatest in the biz makes him not only this week's but also the whole season's biggest loser. You earned it, buddy. Now on to the bench boo-boo. This is normally the part where I subversively or more blatantly make fun of whoever made a silly decision to, sit someone they shouldn't have. But this week, I'm going to let Brian take care of that. Brian?
Congratulations, Chuck, on taking home this week's bench boo-boo. I'd like to join you on that bench, considering I had Phillip Rivers on the bench with the 25 points he could have brought me. I still would have lost. But you left Antonio Gates on the bench with 3 touchdown receptions. Had you played Antonio Gates, looks like you would have taken home the W. So good luck next week.
There you have it. Week's 2 bench boo-boo goes to Breezy Bushes. You earned it, Chuck. Now, week 2 was insane. Not just the action on the field and the injuries, but all the off-field stuff as well. With arguably the best fantasy running back likely to be gone for a long time due to child abuse allegations, and the league that houses all of our players under heavy scrutiny from the public, it's been pretty crazy. But I think for everyone I say, it'll be nice when there aren't all these troubles happening on the field, and we can get back to football being the distraction that we all love. That's it. That takes care of all the HFL's week 2 business. But on to week 3. The field action keeps rolling with 3 teams that still haven't won a game and 3 that haven't even suffered a defeat. In a matchup that features the Don Goodell of the latter group facing underdog 50 Shades of Gold of the winless group. There are several other great contests this week, but as far as weeks go on, win or lose, scoring will need to go up for some of you teams to have a chance at making the playoffs. That's it for the HFLN this week, gentlemen. Take it easy, and I'll see you guys next week.